exploration. But prior to recorded music and prior to electronic music amplification, like percussion was like the spirit of the culture,
right?
And then there's obviously stringed instruments and stuff, but like drums go back 8,000 years or something, and it's like whatever the however that culture was vibing was expressed through percussion.
Yeah.
And now we just have whole sets to play by ourselves. We don't need like everybody to have their own drum.
Yeah, it's I always think about that too, that it kind of throughout every culture there was like, or most cultures, it started from the drums, and like a lot of heavily a lot of the music that we like, comes from, African drumming, and then so it's so like infectious, that's what immediately gets you to move, so very interesting. It's what I love to do when you start exploring that too, is seeing how many different cultures have adopted from other different cultures, like when you really start getting into like Puerto Rican roots music, man, there's so much influence from Africa. Like there's like straight up like African sounding music,
Right.
And then the crossover, like there's a lot of like reggae style Puerto Rican music. There's a lot of different just then there's like obviously Spanish culture that's in there, and then where the Spanish music came from, and like it's just like it's just becomes this web of like intertwining different journey.
Right. So it's deep. It goes deep.
I just had a weird thought that it's a little bit left of what we're talking about, but what Brian just said, like the modern thing. You talk like it's the modern thing because we have the drum kit, but actually now people that don't even understand rhythm or anything, what we have now is press a button and there's a full, oh, you want a Brazilian beat? Boom. And then I'm wondering what kind of appreciation, like, if you go back to primal, like, do we actually even connect with that really anymore? If you could just, somebody that doesn't even know anything about music can come up with a better beat than I could ever do studying my whole life, right? Yeah, I kind of took it left there. Sorry, guys.
But is it really better? Is it really better?
Yeah, and did they really make it? I mean, it's I think that you can take pride in the ability to, be one, person on a single kit. I think it's totally, anyone that takes the time to look at the difference and to understand the physical nature of it can get the value from it.
I think it always comes back to Zeppelin for me, but we were talking about this the other day. I think human feel will never be replicated and never replaced.
Yeah, well, that's what everybody's hanging on to, like if you Led Zeppelin is a perfect example. That's the most organic, natural feeling. The time, there's no metronome, there's no nothing. It's just raw drumming for real, and like that's like there's a video somewhere that I was watching that it was like they tried to what do you call it when you like align everything in recording?
Quantized
Led Zeppelin stuff, and it was just
I've seen that. I've seen the video.
That's awesome, right? And yeah, it's like it just doesn't sound, it doesn't feel right. It's just, man, it's so, it just makes it so robotic and lame,
What's really interesting to me is when you take stuff like hip hop beats, and you have cats that are trying to that learn to play like studio hip hop beats on the drums, and you add that human element to what is originally just an electronic beat, and it sounds so much better. And having the human element grow from something that even started out as just basic, electronic stuff.
I think that's a fun like subgenre for drummers, is like recreating beats on live drums that were imagined by non-drummers and never meant to be playable, but you adapt it to the drums.
That's cool.
You were working on one recently, Dave, weren't you? Something like kind of in that vein.
Not that I recall, but maybe, I don't know. I was working on Oakland Stroke by David Garibaldi.
Oh my gosh. that is such a stinking hard.
It's so hard, man. I've spent months on it and I suck at it.
I was okay. So like when we were on full lockdown and and we weren't supposed to leave or whatever, I had a little practice kit set up at my house, and I started diving down the rabbit hole of Dave Garibaldi, and I got to revisit that, but I like kind of came to the conclusion that like we're just not the same kind of drummer. Like I just can't do it. Like, cause it's like, so even like, I mean, I'm like looking at it and I'm trying to process it, and I know how the song sounds. I've listened, my dad is like a huge Tower of Power fan. So it's like, I've heard that song since I was a little kid, and it's just like, it's just not computing. Like I just cannot do it. It's that one and 7779311. I'm like, I can't. That's a
I don't know that one.
oh man, it's the Time, the band The Time.
Oh,
Drum beat that all these drummers, like it was I think it was two drummers or it was a drummer playing with a track. And so they try to mimic both. Here, I'll play it.
I've been going back, not like the last couple of months, I've been going back through Future Sounds, which is David Garibaldi's book, and doing it really, really slow and trying to record myself. Like I went through that book years ago as like a technical exercise and just like, oh, I can get the coordination. And now I've been recording myself and trying to pretend that each groove is like something I'm putting on a record that has to feel amazing. And it's so hard, man. It's so hard.
Dude, left hand stuff. If you guys don't know about like this stuff or Dave Garibaldi, and you need to work on left hand ghost note stuff, there's no one that does it better than him, in my opinion. There's no book that's gonna get you like playing the funkiest beats with like a bunch of left hand ghost notes that you're not used to, and like it's crazy. But even his basic, what's the foundation for all of his grooves is I can't think of it right now, man. But even that, the main beat that you build everything off of, I was like, nope, not happening yet. Like, well, I got to revisit.
I heard him talk about how basically Tower of Power's concept as a band was to play funk without playing 2 and 4 on the snare. And that's their whole deal. They just set out to do that. And it worked.
He does that really well. Yeah, he does that really well. This is 7779311. It's like an 80s funk tune, but this is the drum beat that everybody's always trying to do. Easy so far. Produced by Prince, you can tell. Anyways, like it's a cool tune, but it's so many drummers like have broken that down and tried and done some lessons on it. The dude that I do a bunch of stuff with, Phil, broke that down and was like, I still can't do it, Phil. Like it's like I should, I've never worked on it because it's always just been like, nah, it's not, it's impossible. And then everybody started doing it. But,
that hi-hat part is what's weird.
Yeah, it's just working through that hi-hat part, and then there's like the kick pattern stays the same, something like that. But yeah, there's all those like 5 strokes in it, or like maybe a 9. I don't know. I have to work through that. I want to see. That's the thing, man. These are all these like goal beats that I should know, and I know, and I just I grew up on all those songs from my dad, and I was always like, yeah, that's a dope beat, but never. I was like, I want to play punk, like.
I'm gonna throw myself under the bus wheel here. Like, I never try to really like learn complete songs. I don't know how many other guys in here. Is there any females? Anybody in here? not that it really matters. I just said yeah. I'm not a big guy to learn songs, but if I hear a groove or a beat or something, or even a fill that I'm like into, I might try to learn it, and then oftentimes I just be like, I just want to play something similar to it. I don't want to note for note it. I know there's a whole like movement on YouTube of like trying to note for note the song. Is other people into that?
Yeah, I've had it. I guess my approach is like, that's kind of my bread and butter. Like if I have to learn complete songs to, when I'm gigging and stuff. But if it's just like a casual, or if it's more for like session work, or like if I'm jumping on a tour with somebody, I have to learn their tunes, But I do try to, if I'm allowed, try to bring what I would bring to it. You know what I mean? So kind of play it my way, but still do the song justice, make the feel right. If there's like a drum fill that's iconic to the song, then of course I got to learn that. But
for me, I feel like it's like cooking, where there are certain dishes where it's like, you have to do this right. You have to do it exactly the way it is written in the recipe, or otherwise it's not going to work. Like if you're baking, or if you're doing things that have to do with like, chemical reactions in certain temperatures. But sometimes you're just making a steak and you've had a delicious steak before. You're like, oh yeah, I know how I like that, but I want to do it a little bit differently. There are just certain situations. I think generally I apply the kind of wide cooking thing, where it's like, well, I've cooked a lot of things and I know generally what I like and what I'm good at cooking, and I can take things from other dishes and say, okay, well, I would, I want to have that aspect of it without being like, oh, I have to do it exactly the way I had it that one time.
Good analogy. But I do have like some students I have are just like not interested in like learning songs, not interested in joining a band. Like they're just like more and more and more patterns, just rudiments, patterns, whatever, subdivisions. That's what I want to do. And I'm like, well,
I'm thinking it's cool because those are your students and they're coming up and they're learning and they're playing for their own reasons. And like what Adam was talking about Wednesday, hooking yourself up, and it's like your drumming experience mentally, emotionally, and all that, playing other people's music, that you have a connection to that music and you're learning it, versus just like playing your own stuff, freestyle, whatever, or playing a song that you created. I'd be interested to see how those things registered on, quantitatively when you're playing, just jamming or playing other people's.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, let's get started. Let's do a warm up, basic warm up. So let's do the 8 and 8 equals 16, but let's do the triplet version like we were doing. So I don't have this written out, but eighth note triplets on one hand for a measure, eighth note triplets on the other hand for a measure. We're trying not to accent on the beat, so not just okay. And then so eighth note triplets on right hand, eighth note triplets on left hand, then 16th note triplets on both hands for one measure each, and we're just going to keep repeating. And then on top of that, if you want to spice it up, I'm going to try to play my eighth note ostinato, simple eighth note ostinato on my feet. So eighth notes on your feet against the eighth note triplets and the 16th note triplets on your hands. We'll make it a little bit challenging. All right, so everybody got it? We know what we're doing. Eighth note triplets on your hands, 16th note triplets together, one measure each. Eighth note ostinato. Let me, where's my iPad? My iPad's over here. I'll be right back.
Hey, Brian, I did want to say I liked what you said about taking certain parts of something. And like sometimes I like the idea of taking that one little cell of a longer phrase that you can't do and just taking that and like working on that thing that you can't do and like growing that can really help because you explore kind of new avenues that way. Yeah, it's cool to kind of take pieces and make them your own.
Yeah, I always judge myself because I'm like, oh, I'm too lazy to learn a whole song or it's too difficult. But I don't always want to. I'm not motivated to. I just like, oh, that's the part that moves me or grabs me, and I just steal it.
I for sure don't learn songs just for fun like anymore. I used to when I was a kid, but if it's for a session or something, then then that's more motivation to
yeah, you're employed to do that by somebody. It's like you got to do your work.
Yeah, there's no way I'm like ever like, I've always wanted to learn rock and roll note for note by Led Zeppelin, like
I've been recently.
I literally did that this week. I'm playing that on a gig tonight.
Sorry, go ahead, Daryl.
I've been recently just putting on playlists of songs I have no idea how they go, and just playing along for a little bit, and then pressing pause, and then just incorporating that feel into my playing. Like, it's been making me play things that I wouldn't normally play.
Dude, that is a really great exercise to do. That is really, really like a strong like exercise that a lot of drummers overlook. And I do that. I do that all the time where like I'll stream, like I was streaming live and I would like purposely not pick out songs like a playlist to play to like as a performance. It was just like, never heard this before, let's go. I do that with drumless tracks too, and see how long it can take me to where I have the song figured out and all the hits and stuff figured out. That's really great, like training for like, especially working like gig stuff where you can be dropped into like any situation and not flop on your face, you know?
I need to put my
YouTube's a great resource for that too.
Yeah. And sometimes it hits your ego a little bit though. You're just like, holy crap, I can't start at all. And sometimes you're like, I'm kicking ass. This is awesome.
All right, here we go. Starting with my feet. One, it's pretty slow, but we'll try it. Ready, go, feet. And hands. 1, 2, eighth note triplets on our right. Halfway. Last one. All right, very cool. I love the idea of, I don't know why I love the idea of putting eighth notes against eighth note triplets with like half of our body, you know? All right, let's try it again. Starting with my feet. 2, ready, go. 1, 2, hands, go. One more. All right. How's everybody feeling on that? Doing good? All right. Everybody getting the ostinato with that? I love that. Good. All right, cool. Let's go a little faster. Starting with my feet. Ready, go. 1, 2, ready. Hey. Try to work those fingers without accents. As relaxed as possible. One more after this. I have to stop allowing myself to do this one and start making myself doing that one because it's just going too easy on myself. I need to step it up. I need to fail, you know? All right, let's try one more. 1, 2, starting with my feet. Here we go. 1, 2, ready. Hey. Halfway. Last one. I wasn't listening to my own advice. I need to relax. My shoulders started.
Yeah, that one pushed the limit for me.
All right, very nice. Moving on. So that's a good one to do backwards too, like playing with your left hand lead. I don't know why we're already playing it, you know, but it just completely readjusts, messes with my brain to do it left hand lead. But it's also good to really try to focus on technique. You know, those 16-note triplets are pretty fast. But trying to not do what I just did and start tensing up the faster you go, and you know, your shoulders raising up, the faster you go, relaxing your shoulders and your neck a little bit more and allowing your wrists and your fingers to do the work. Letting that stick bounce back at you and just, you know, bouncing the ball technique that I always talk about. You're using your fingers when you bounce a basketball really fast, and you're not pushing it down and picking it up and then pushing it down and picking it up. You're the closer you get to the ground, the more you're using your fingers, and then the slower you go, it goes higher. So same kind of idea. Anyways, most of you guys know that.
I couldn't do that fast one without switching from here over to fingers like this.
Yeah, it's the same for me. So yeah, I used to be though the guy that was like, the faster I'd go, I'd have to like muscle it out, and then my grip would totally change, and I was like choking my stick, and I was doing like that kind of thing, and it was like, I don't know why why does it sound different? Why and how or what? Like, but it's those kind of exercises that has helped with that kind of stuff. So what should we do next? I didn't even pull anything up. Let's see. We got actually, let's redo the ones that we did last week. Wednesday, if you guys are cool with that. The new let me see if I have the right ones. Those rudiment based ones, and then we'll pick up with some new ones or revisit some old ones next week. So that's the wrong one. If everyone's cool with that, we'll do that. Let's see if I can remember these. Oh yes. Okay. So we got that one, and we need one more, maybe. Let me see what this is. This one. Oh, this is the paradiddle with the diddle thing. Okay. All right. Let's do this flam accent one first. You guys don't know what I'm talking about, but okay, here we go. Flam accent. We did this on Wednesday. If everybody's cool with doing this again, this one was like, we were, it was our first time working on it, so we can revisit it if everyone's cool. Flam accents. So let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 flam accents, and then flam tap, and you have that kind of. I think Bob, you referred it to like a bossa nova kind of accent pattern. Da 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 da, da you know. So. The flam axe or the flam taps at the end kind of stop it from being an over the bar kind of accent fill type of thing. If that makes sense. I hope that's not more confusing, but you guys can see the sticking here. If you can't do the flam accent thing, then you can just do this pattern. So singles and then doubles on the last beat on beat 4. So 1 E and a 2 E, or 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a yeah. So if you don't want to do the flam again, you can just do the singles, and that is a challenging pattern to work on. Singles until the last beat, then do doubles, and that repeats you back. All right, so I'm gonna do the let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna keep with my accent, my 8th note ostinato on my feet, and keep that pocket going. All right, so that's it. Let's do it. These are 16ths. I don't know if it will help us to have 16ths going, but oops. Let's start it at 80. Blop, 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 blop.
It's Michael Myers. It's the Halloween theme.
That kind of sounds like it, huh? All right. Let's get a timer. All right, here we go. 1, 2, ready, hey. Sorry, I didn't give you hard for me to talk and play all 4 limbs and say this is the last one. All right, and I'm playing with the wrong pad. I like this pad better. All right, cool. How's everybody with that tempo? We need a slower tempo, or are we good to go a little faster? Everybody's okay. Good. Let me see. Let me scroll down. How about you guys? Bob and Jason, good. Okay, let's go a little bit faster. Let's only go like 10 faster. We're at 90 now. 1, 2, starting with my feet first. 1, 2, here I go. Last one. One more. Okay. Man, that is taxing. If I think about anything else, I just got a text and it's like it threw me off. So that is that one has my brain working this morning for sure. But it's really good. I start feeling the rhythm like all over the place. Starts messing with my time. Very cool. Let's go one more. Let's attempt it. And by let us, I mean me. With my feet. Here we go. 1, 2, ready. Last one. Oh my God. Told you, man. Soon as I talk, it goes away. It's pretty hard at that tempo for me anyways.
Coming in on that, so the flam tap at the end, coming back into the flam accent, I want to do, for some reason, the opposite side. Like I want to.
Oh yeah.
And that's when I get screwed up.
That's the same thing that I was thinking that, you know, that it was supposed to flip you around. That's why they put the flam taps at the end. But yeah, it's weird that it's just one-sided, right? So
You could turn beat 4 into a flam paradiddle and then flip it.
there you go. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's cool. That works. Why didn't they do that? That's so stupid. How come you didn't figure that out, people? This is I forget where I got this. All right. Well, I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna rewrite that and make it just a flamadiddle at the end. All right. So this is we normally stop right now, but let's do one more. So we have this one here. This is the last one that we did last on Wednesday too. I love these, man. I think they are so useful. Okay, so this one is kind of similar, but we're diddling. It's a drag-a-diddle. So paradiddle with 2 notes on the first beats, and then it does this. Similar, basically the same pattern, but drags and using singles. So dig it. Let's see, and then drag-a-diddle at the end, and then that reverses or changes your sticking. So then you're on your left. We did this on Wednesday, so is everybody good? Any questions? Again, if you can't do these drags, these diddle notes, then you can just put an accent here, and so just play paradiddle, 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 then add those accents, da 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 da, you know, and then of course paradiddle at the end, so you can switch. So you don't have to do these drags if you don't want to. It's up to you though. If you can. Do it as written, then more power to you. Okay, so oh man, can I do this? Let's see here. Yeah, we got it. All right. Here we go. if you guys, yeah, I'm adding my ostinato for every warm up this morning. So, all right, here we go. One, starting with my feet. Ready, go. 1, 2, ready. Ah. Last one. Oh my gosh. I think I started us off a little too fast. Is anybody else feeling that? It feels a little fast to me, like I'm pushing a little fast, especially with the ostinato. Okay, so guys that think this is too slow, I'm sorry, but you'll have to help out the rest of the group by like trying it a little slower, so everyone can participate. So let's try this like really slow. Let's try it at like 65 and try that again. That was already stretching me a little bit with the ostinato. So let's try it. All right, feet. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Coming to the end here. Last one. Goodness gracious. I think what I need to do is like just have full on conversations or just like read a book out loud while I'm playing these exercises so I could get used to talking and playing at the same time. I don't know why that is so hard. My goodness.
But you ever listen to podcasts while you practice rudiments?
Ooh, I should do
I
that.
do. Yeah. I've
I
started
know.
listening to like just talking while you're doing like hand stuff. It's great.
Yeah, and try to stay focused on the theme of the conversation while still keeping the rudiment going. And it's cool. It's challenging.
Speaking of podcasts, man, Dave, your podcast is awesome. So well done.
Oh, thanks, man. Did you listen to Adam's episode?
I listen. I'm halfway through, so I haven't listened to the full thing. But so, man, it's so, dude. You guys, if you guys want to hear a good podcast, it's hearing Adam's story too is amazing, man. It's crazy.
Yeah,
you guys
that's
sound
one of my favorite episodes.
If you guys listen to Dave's podcast and then you listen to the Drum Brigade podcast, you're gonna be like, "What the heck is going on with this dude?" Like, our podcast is so just it's the morning show, so it's just like so random and like there's no substance. It's just funny, like, you know, it's like, so yeah, hearing your show, man, it was so polished and just like, you know, you guys have, you know, if you guys should visit both of your guys' you know, stuff. Dave's a very accomplished, and you know, you have a lot of credentials and a lot of things that you've done, the albums that you've recorded on and stuff. It's all great stuff, man. So
thanks, man.
The podcast is really well done, man.
The fun thing for me about that podcast is the guy, I co-hosted it with that other guy, Jason, and he's a guitarist and he owns a guitar school, for like a beginner guitar school. Okay. And so he's not so much of like a gigging guy. He's more like an educator. And so the conversations always, to me, are interesting because I'm always coming at the questions from like a playing standpoint, and he's always coming from like an education standpoint. And you can even hear in Adams, he's like, what are some practical takeaway exercises people can do? He's always asking questions like that, which I think is interesting, you know?
Yeah, it's a really cool dynamic, and it's great. And like, what I really got like from listening to Adam's episode is the questions that you ask. It's like a proper interview, It's not necessarily like we've probably all done interviews where it's like, all right, so how did you get your start? And then that's kind of the basis for the whole thing. But I think you're really good at asking, like, when there's something that's said, like the guest says something, and then you're like, oh, okay, so that, like, what about that? Like there's a specific point. Can you tell us more about this? And it's like, that's what I wanted to hear. That's what I was thinking, I was like,
well, yeah, I mean, the whole point of the show, it's totally unscripted. We don't like write out questions or anything. So it's just like a free flowing conversation. And then it's like exactly what you said. As soon as there's a little nugget that's interesting, I'm like, oh, let's expand on that idea, because I think that's cool and I want to know more about it.
Yeah.
We
It's
should
really cool.
We should do a cross podcast thing, like be on each other's podcasts. It'd be fun.
I would love that. I would love that. I was actually going to say that. I would love that. I'm trying to do. I have like another podcast called the Acceptance Podcast that I started that I didn't. It's like I was doing I was doing all of the talking, and then it just needed an adjustment. And so, but your podcast was like, this is kind of more along the lines of like, I want to interview people that have stories and have like growth mindset for musicians kind of thing. That the people that are more qualified than me, like to talk about this stuff is like, and then the Drum Brigade podcast is just a fun hang, it's basically making this a podcast,
I'm at a crossroads with my podcast because the guy, Jason, who I do it with, I talked to him just last week about rebooting it. And he basically was like, I don't really have time to do it unless we can somehow make money and get sponsors. And I was like, dude, we're not going to make money. Like, I just want to do it. It's fun.
Podcasting. This is the struggle that we've, me and Phil, the dude that I co-host with, the struggle that we've had for years, where it was like, we were going full on, like, this is what we're going to, make our money off of. And then it's like realizing there's really no money in this.
I think you're not.
It's even this, like, let's just do it for us,
Yeah.
So it's cool though. Yeah, I would love to have any of you guys I say that every week, but any of you guys are always welcome. It's just a drum hang. There's no like hard questions, or it's not like anything like that. It's just hanging out, chatting. We spin a wheel that's like has random questions on it. That's like, what dinosaur would you choose as a pet? It's literally that childish. And like, yeah, some people love it. Some people are like, there's no substance to this. This is whack, So
that sounds awesome, man. I think it sounds fun.
Yeah. That I'm going to schedule both of you guys for sure. Like, both of you guys need to come on, and yeah, for sure. But I want to have Adam on the Acceptance Podcast, and then maybe later on the Drum Brigade podcast. But I got to figure out how to script a better outline for Acceptance Podcast, so we can really, dive into what you're studying and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Is the Acceptance Podcast a drum thing, or is it separate?
It was meant to be. It was meant to be like a more of a motivational, like mindset growth kind of podcast. My intention was to kind of use my knowledge from my experiences to help people to like, grow. And so I was going that it started taking like it started getting too serious, and it started getting to be too much work for like a stuff that I don't know anything about. And so it started becoming less about my experiences and more about me trying to like motivate people when I don't know how to do that. I didn't go to school for that. I don't, and so I just am really interested in that. And so I just like kind of pumped the brakes and was like, hold on, like this isn't going the direction I want. And the original idea for that was to just tell stories of people's like experiences. So like a perfect example would be Adam, like tell the story of his gig, like in detail, and kind of do it like Radiolab style with like sound effects, and like tell the real story. So I started an episode about my injury, getting in a motorcycle crash and shattering my ankle, my kick drum foot. And I have it like all scripted, but I started recording it and then I just lost interest. Like I got to revisit that though. Because that is a great story to tell, and like trying to do it in detail, in depth with to keep it interesting to the listener is really cool. But
Yeah,
so
are perfect for each other.
yeah, right.
I did see this through line in the whole chops and coffee so far. There were three things. Like first, the podcast, Cato Sullivan is who I first heard about somatic therapy from, and it was on Dave's podcast. And I was listening. I didn't even know it was Dave's podcast. I was searching therapy and music, and this podcast came up, and it happened to be Dave, who I didn't know was my friend Dave. It was funny.
Kate is the only non-musician we've ever had on the show. A legit therapist.
Yeah. And so it says you brought up growth mindset, and I would love to point out that is one of the first inroads into academia that is therapy. It's therapy based, the whole idea of growth mindset. And so it's being kind of brought into this academic fold, and it's being very widely accepted. It's kind of like hiding the veggies. And so, yeah, that's really a movement that I want to be a part of too. And then this third thing, I'll stop there, is your ostinato. So this is sort of like the learning, the stress, and the healing. So the stress is applying this to your foot ostinato. You were saying, oh, maybe I should try some other ostinatos. And so part of the therapy is to exaggerate and smooth out. And so a great thing to do would be to take that ostinato and make it half notes, and then make it whole notes. But keep the hands the same. And it's funny, you're slowing down, you're removing things, but the more you remove things, like the frequency of things, the harder it gets. And that would be a really good one to do.
It's still brand new coordination though. That's cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
See, this is what I'm saying. Like this kind of things, I'm like, I didn't even think of that. It's so simple, and it just like blew my mind. It's like, I love that. Yeah. I'm definitely going to work on that. That's cool.
Yeah. Start with just like hands together. Just like try your ostinato with just hands together. Now go to halftime. That's right foot, left foot now. Right foot, left foot, right foot. And that's easy enough. But once you start increasing the stress in the hands, suddenly like and then your sense of time expands, like the length of the phrase in your mind, like you start hearing things in terms of whole notes and 3-bar, 4-bar phrases. It's really cool.
So true. I always only do the eighth note ostinato instead of doing like quarter notes. Why not just try quarter notes, or why not try eighth note triplets on your feet? Oh man, that's cool. Very cool.
I know Sam's got an electric kit. I don't know if anybody else in here does. I have a Roland kit, and it's so fun to play with because you can pick all these different kits. I'm sure we've all messed with them, but like, if your bass drum has like a whole note sound instead of just like a thud, it's like, you can really like explore those like reverberations of, your kit just is tuned the way it's tuned, but it's fun to do that.
Yeah, so many guitar players work on long tones. Like I talk to other musicians, like, what are you working on? What are you working on? Yeah, I work on a long tone, and then that transition point to the next note, I really try to make that smooth. And I'm like thinking, what do drummers do? What do we do for our long tones? And yeah, that's exactly it. Like really getting into the tone of the drum, whatever you're playing, and hearing it over a full long amount of sound. And then that forces you to focus on your sound because you're hearing it. And if you fuck it up, you're like, God, I got to listen to this sound for a whole measure now. So you really kind of like work on improving your sound.
That's cool. All right, guys. So, I think that's going to be it for today. Again, awesome conversation, awesome ideas, awesome everything. And I really enjoy it. So we'll pick it up again next Monday, and have some more stuff to work on and all that stuff, get us warmed up. But more importantly, probably some awesome conversation to get us motivated for our week. I really enjoy starting my day doing something I love and doing it with like-minded people. So thanks for, allowing me to do that today. And I hope you guys feel the same. And I hope you guys have a great weekend.
Thanks, you too, Corey.
Yeah. Have a great weekend. And everybody streaming with us, same to you guys as well.
Yeah. Hey, Daryl, let's connect after this.
All right, y'all. I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend.